gentlemen, please stand if you are able. And be seated. Good afternoon, one and all. But it's a privilege to be here. My name is Ron Mullen, for those who don't know me, and I am Aunt Ella's favorite nephew. And it's a privilege to officiate this service here today. I find it an honor whenever I get an opportunity to officiate a funeral service. It's a tremendous honor to walk with the family for a few days and be a part of their lives and to begin that healing process. And so I especially count it a tremendous honor here today to officiate this service before us. My memories run deep with the pies in Aurelia here, and weekends spent with the pies in Aurelia building tree houses, learning family names that I've never heard before, like Ducky and Birdie, and also our times as a Daniel family being down in the Norfolk County area and celebrating New Year's Day together with the whole Daniel family and being together and playing Romoli and having a jackpot at the end of the day that was bigger than anything that Casino Rama could offer. So it is a deep time, and regrettably, we have not been together for a lot of years. But we come together the last couple of days, it's just like old home week, isn't it? And it's been just a wonderful experience. It's never easy when we lose a loved one. And doesn't matter how much time we prepare and so on, it becomes a very difficult time, whether they're young or old. And so as we come here today, we do so to celebrate Aunt Ella's life and the contribution that she has made to each one of our lives. Ella bought into a belief system early in her life, and we're going to talk about that, and that's going to be the foundation of our service here this afternoon. That she bought into a belief system that was life-changing for her, but also for my mom as well. And that is going to be our focus. Scripture also reminds us this afternoon that in the midst of our time and sorrow, in the midst of this difficult time, that we are able to come and be with a God who delights in walking alongside of us in our time of need. And as we begin that journey of grief, that God delights in being there. And the psalmist shares these words. Says, "May your unfailing love be my comfort, according to your promise to your servant." In 2 Corinthians, Paul shares these words. He says, "Praise be to the God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort." In Matthew, Jesus even shares these words. He says, he gives us the invitation and he says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden," and he says, "I will give you rest." We're going to invite Matt and Bonnie to come forward at this time and share a special eulogy with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for attending. How do I even begin to summarize 92 years of a life well lived? I am not equal to the task because I was lucky enough to have known Ella, my lovely mother-in-law, but only since 1982, when I met her daughter, my wife Bonnie. Ella Mae Daniel was born on the 6th of May, 1929. She grew up initially in Whitewood, Saskatchewan, a small hamlet on the prairies that was established due to the railway. When her father died of a blocked bowel at age 36, Ella moved out to Ontario, along with her mother, Hazel, sisters, Doris and Grace, and her brother Jim. They resided in the Brantford-Simcoe area, Boston something or other, where they were raised by their grandmother, Munn, while their mother, Hazel, went out to work. Can you even imagine that? There's more. When Ella was just 14 years old, she and her younger sister Doris, who would have been aged 12 at the time, rented a room at a boarding house and started working to support themselves. Since both girls were underage, they were supervised by a member of the church, their church. This was common in those days to start working at such a young age. Ella would often comment on how she and Doris would get dressed up to attend church and how they had to take the trolley to get to town or to get around town. At age 19, Ella was visiting her sister Grace, who lived in Aurelia, when she met Gordon Pye, and they married soon after. Gordon would go on to own and operate Edgetown Auto Sales on Memorial Avenue in Aurelia. There are memories of Gordon traveling to Toronto to the Odessa auction and others to purchase vehicles for the car lot. And having Ella drive one of the vehicles back to Aurelia, it was a common task. Ella and Gordon were the proud parents of 5 children: Wayne, Jim, Len, Karen, and Bonnie. The age gap between the oldest to the youngest was 16 years, with Wayne driving Ella to the hospital for Ella to deliver Bonnie.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. Gordon passed away in 1972 from stomach cancer at the tender age of 45, which left Ella to raise their 5 children on her own, a daunting task. Again, I say, can you even imagine that? She succeeded in raising children who are great people that contribute to society and to their own families and communities in ways that are rooted in Ella's moral upbringing of them. After the death of her husband and other than driving vehicles back and forth to Toronto, like when Gordon was alive, Ella needed to re-enter the workforce to support her family. Ella did a little bit of everything, from working at the local drive-in theater, working at a fish and chips restaurant, and in a full-time position at Precision Rubber Factory. She worked there for a number of years before retiring at age 63. You know, Ella, Doris, Ben, Blake, our son, and Bonnie attended my RCMP graduation ceremonies at Regina, Saskatchewan in 1992, and I'll never forget it. Eventually, Ella went on to be a wonderful grandmother of 11 grandchildren and 17 great-grandchildren. Ella was greatly helped along by all her children, who all helped out around the house throughout the years, even after each child had grown up and moved out of the family home. Ella enjoyed having a pet again after many long years of not having one, with the arrival of her dog Boo Boo. And he kept her company. She endured a couple of falls from a ladder or two while keeping up with her yard work and well into her golden years. She drove her car well into her 80s in age and was renowned for her fast backup speed, I'll tell you. To say that we will all terribly miss our dear Ella is an incredible understatement, as she was the matriarch of the Pye family, and she held her family together all these years by setting an example of prim, proper values that were both spiritual based and a continued inspiration to us all. What a class act. Ella Pye, lovingly referred to and called by her son Len, E.P. Taylor. Most likely, I think, because Taylor was a rich person, Ella sure could make her home enriched and inviting to all family and guests. We all terribly miss you, dear Ella, and we hope to one day see you again, united with all of your family. Godspeed your way to heaven. We love you forever.
I was asked to say a few words today on behalf of our family, and we would like to thank you all for coming to celebrate Mom's life. Our mother was a strong, God-fearing woman who took the task of raising 3 boys and 2 girls very seriously. Family was very important to her, and she knew she had to be strict and instill in us good, strong moral values. It is important for us to be good people, help others, but most of all, to earn our way in life. Her childhood was tough, and I totally identify with the fact that she lost her father when she was 3 years old. I was 6 when our father died. Fathers are very important to their daughters, and when you lose them at such an early age, it's like losing the rudder off a boat and hard to find direction. She was sent out into the world to work at age 14, which was very normal for the post-depression time. So, Mom had this way about her that you sure didn't want to tick her off. She had a famous look, and we all know it, that would make your blood run cold because you knew you'd done something wrong. She didn't tell you anything twice, so you better listen up the first time. The phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child, comes to mind. But in her case, it was a broom. As Len would tell the story, thanks, Len, when the boys did something wrong, she'd come charging out of the house with the broom, chase them around the yard, and it was hard to believe that my mother had that energy to chase anyone around, but keeping us in line was enough motivation for her. I always remember our mother being very proper. She would never swear, never smoked or drank, unless she had a cold. Not that to say that she swore, smoked, and drank when she was ill, but she did use alcohol for medicinal purposes. Wayne would provide her with a bottle of rye, and we would passively watch her fill a drinking glass, half full of rye, and the other half with warm water. She would chug that thing down like a drunken sailor, and she'd toddle off to bed before she got dizzy. So I'm imagining her right now. She's standing right here, and she is gritting her teeth and shaking her fist at me. You son of a bee. That was as close as she got to swearing, guys. Just when you got to the age where you could get in trouble, Mom would send you out to get a job. She felt that 14 was the age you needed to spread your wings and make your mark on the working world, and she did it because that's what she did. We have to remember where she came from to appreciate how hard a job it was for her to raise us. She did the best she could, but she always showed up for us when we needed her. I'm grateful that I got the chance to know Mom when I was an adult. Matt had joined the RCMP, and Blake and I needed to leave the military housing. Mom was good enough to let us live with her for 6 months while Matt was in training. Mom was a very skilled seamstress, and there's probably not one person in this room that she hasn't had to hemmed your pants or made you a set of curtains. When she visited Alberta, we would take classes such as quilting and flower arranging. She would rearrange my cupboards, and I would empty hers. We were always doing something because she was my best friend. My children benefited the most from her quick wit. She could have us rolling on the floor with laughter with her one-liners. Matt would do what Matt generally does, which is irritate her, to the point one time where she told him she was going to knock him down, sit on his chest, and punch him out. I would have paid good money for that. But I digress. Mom was watching my daughter, Kristen, draw eyebrows on when she was about 16 years old. And she said to Kristen, "Since I don't dye my hair anymore, do you think that I should draw white eyebrows on to match my hair?" Yes, guys, we draw on our eyebrows. Get over it. Kristen had stated once to Grandma that this person was a biatch. And my mother just smiled and said, "Kristen, I don't speak French." So a more recent time, I was talking to Mom, and she told me that she'd lost her boobs that I just bought her. I know, guys, you're thinking. I had to listen to it a couple of times myself. But then she said, "Yeah, I lost them in the laundry." So she would catch you off guard with these very innocent little comments, which made it that much more amusing for us. Blake, my son, reminded me that both he and Kristen considered Grandma's house a second home. No matter where we moved, Grandma's house was always a constant. What did I do now? I will always cherish the time we spent together. She was more like a girl.
Take a second there.
She was like a girlfriend to me.